Hey guys, it's Steven here. In this video, we will learn about whether you should be worried about a stock market crash, according to legendary investor Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of all time.
This question has probably been asked in different ways already, but several years ago, a fellow I know who had been manager of Magellan Fund warned that we were going to have a terrible decade or so in the stock market because of all the things people have brought up so far, the increasing interest rates and runaway spending and decreasing dollar and stagflation maybe right around the corner, Social Security problems, and even what Charlie Munger referred to as that most of our best and brightest graduates, I find, are going into money management rather than they're not becoming doctors or molecular biologists or PhDs in chemical engineering. And so in view of the fact that a year or two ago, there was still an ebullience of emotion about the stock market going up and making everyone rich just by having their money in the stock market, it seems like that ebullience has dropped, and I'm hearing in anticipation of a bear market. And you wrote, I think several years ago, that it's hard to make money in a bull market, and the real opportunities come in a bear market. So I'm wondering if you would give us a clue as to what your strategies are going to be if it's really true that the market gets dismal over the next few years.
Well, if the market gets cheaper, we will have many more opportunities to do intelligent things with money. Now, whether we'll blow on the money in the meantime or something is another question. But you know, we are going to be buying things, one thing or another, operating businesses, stocks, high yield bonds, whatever. We're going to be buying things for as long as I live. Just like I'm going to be buying groceries.
Longer than that, Warren.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Charlie's just waiting to take over after I. And I'm going to be buying groceries the rest of my life. Now, would I rather have grocery prices go up or down if I'm going to be buying groceries tomorrow and next week and next month and next year? And the answer is obviously, if I'm a net buyer, I will do better if prices are lower. We're not good at forecasting markets. I mean, knew that we were getting enormous bargains in the mid-70s. We knew that the market went crazy to some extent in the late 90s, but we don't have much, we don't spend any time, Charlie and I spend no time thinking or talking about what the stock market is going to do, because we don't know. We do know sometimes that we're getting very good value for our money when we buy some stocks or some bonds, as it may be. But we are not operating on the basis of any kind of macro forecasts about stocks. And there's always a list of reasons. You gave a few. There's always a list of reasons why the country will have problems tomorrow, but there's always a list of opportunities which don't get mentioned quite as often. So we don't sit down and make a list of the bad things that are happening in the economy and the good things that are happening, and therefore expecting the stock market. It might not. It doesn't behave that way, even if you could correctly forecast some of the bad things or good things. Overall, I'm an enormous bull on the country. I mean, over time, this is the most remarkable success story in the history of the world, if you think about it. I mean, in 1790, we had less than 4 million people in this country. There were 290 million people in China. There were 100 million people in Europe. You know, and they all had the same intellect we had. They were in the same general climate. They had lots of natural resources. And 215 years later, those 3.9 million people, I think, actually, have 39 million people, I think, actually, have 30% or so of the world's GDP. So it does not make sense to bet against America. That doesn't mean all our policies are smart or anything, but I do not get pessimistic on the country. You know, I worry about the big worry is what can be done by either terrorists or governments that have access to nuclear, chemical, or biological weapons. But in terms of the basic economics of the country, your children are going to live better than you live, and your grandchildren are going to live better than your children live.
There are always opportunities in the stock market. The growth of the US economy is one thing that Warren Buffett never bets against, and Buffett always remains optimistic. The reason to be optimistic is that the trend over time is one of positive growth. Will there be fluctuations year to year? Sure, but as a long-term investor, there's no reason to worry about short-term falls in the stock market. If stock prices go down, that should not worry or scare long-term investors. For long-term investors, it is an opportunity to buy stocks at a better value and cheaper price. The best strategy is to continue to dollar cost average, and if you have spare cash to spend, buy the dips. Hope you guys found this video helpful. I plan to put together more videos that will allow investors to learn the lessons from the greatest investors of all time. In the internet age, we have access to information that can make us all informed investors. I will dig through all the noise and provide you with quality investing lessons every investor needs. If that's the type of content you enjoy, leave a comment below, like, and subscribe. Have a great one.